Yeah, it's sad, but
See,
oh,
I
All right.
was
oh,
just going to tell you guys that if you just can hang on for a couple months, the coronavirus is scheduled to disappear in May. It's not going to
Oh.
be a thing anymore. So,
Uh,
just hang tight. Everything's going to be peachy.
Yeah,
thank you.
because this is gonna be the one time. This is the one time.
This is it. Yeah, thank
Yeah,
fuck
thanks
that
guys.
YouTube wasn't up when you just said that. Otherwise, that's it. That's the video. Doesn't matter that that's a joke.
Right, right, right.
That's it. We're off YouTube for the evening
You would have had
already.
15 minutes,
It's
and we would have been
impressive.
down.
It's impressive that we can just demonetized. We can get demonetized for just screaming these filthy motherfuckers. But you make that one joke, and the algorithm's like, this video's off of
Mm-mm.
YouTube.
Nope.
Would you like some more anti-black content? This video's off of YouTube.
Oh, they got anti-black for days.
They do. It's like all of YouTube
What are you
outside of left wing.
talking about? Name more than 5 million hours of content that is anti-black on YouTube.
More than five
I got
million.
I got
Okay.
5.5 for you, buddy. With receipts. With
Okay.
receipts.
It's kind of weird that you watch that much, but sure.
We're gonna go. We're gonna go right into Fox News. We're gonna go right into
Their
Fox News,
YouTube channel.
CNN, Daily Wire. We're gonna go into all the motherfuckers.
Yeah.
You know
We're
In
what?
fact,
That,
5.5
you
ain't
know,
even that much. Let's go 7.
you know what? You're absolutely right. I apologize. I set the bar too low. That's on me.
you did.
Too easy. It's too easy. Anti-black content on the social medias. What? It's only a lot. It's only it. You only get black content when it's presented by white people.
I knew it.
That's a fact.
That's how they do.
That's just the
That's how they
white
do.
anti-black content, 7 million hours strong. Let's get to the black
Hmm.
anti-black content. How long's
Oh, we got that too. We got plenty of that.
Oh,
Is
Canada,
that
that
is
was
it
that was
Jesse
hard going.
Peterson? Is he
Yeah,
on there?
Jesse sends his regards, definitely.
I mean, come on. This is the same goddamn country with the motherfucker. I just love Hitler. Like, come on, bro. The fuck is
It's great that
you?
Kanye can say it and the YouTube doesn't get taken down, but we just lost YouTube again. We
Oh,
we
did we?
literally got back up and you were like, found a way to kill it. No YouTube for us.
Well, in that case, let's go ahead and say I wish I had a gulag right now. Just get a fucking gulag right now.
You know what? Shout out to base Jeff Bezos, the only one of these motherfuckers willing to endure our criticism.
Yep.
Because
Yep.
he's not taking us down yet.
Yet.
Dot dot dot. Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun.
All right, let's get this up on Twitter. And let's get this up in the chat.
All right, so we're getting things up. So we got 15. Let's start the counter. 15 minutes.
No, you got way
We
more than
got we
15
got
minutes. We're already live.
we got to
We're
fluff it up for
live.
15
Yeah,
minutes. Oh,
Listen, I've been
we
trying to die
were
all
taken
week.
down.
I know you've been trying to die all week, but stay strong.
Oh.
Yeah, we need you. We need your revolutionary spirit.
Uh.
We got way too many chuds out here.
You are the
Even your amount your amount is a lot
It's a
considering
it's
it
a
is a it is
contribution.
it is a big contribution. Yeah, it's at least 30%.
yes.
Oh man,
You are
that
literally
feels
one of the
generous.
three. I no pressure, but you are one of the three core seats of the show. I didn't know if you knew that. Did you have you done
What?
the math and figured that out? Like you're one of the three core. You've
But I
survived
didn't
the
edit any of the shows yet.
what?
You told me to edit all these shows so that they would all be all set up and we could post them on all various channels.
No, I didn't tell you to
You
do
said
that.
we were editing them.
No.
Yeah,
Oh,
funny thing about that, he says that about everything. He's walking down
oh.
the street. He's walking down the street saying, meeting people. Hey, how you doing? Edit that out. Edit
You
that.
you guys keep you keep doing this thing where I say that we're live and it's unedited, and you keep hearing that we're gonna edit this later. Why is that? Can I ask you why is that?
I I feel like
You keep
I feel
saying
like
it.
you say it with your eyebrows.
My eyebrows.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah. Your eyebrows and your chest. It's all up in the chest.
it's in
Really?
the chest.
By the way,
You
we
say it
are
with
liable to get
say
taken
it with
down
your
from
chest.
YouTube at any moment. I have dropped the Twitch stream on the Twitter at Ketzern, KETZERN, Heretic N, if you speak the German. So just fair, like there's a real chance we're gonna get a takedown again for like the 14th fucking
Again.
time.
Oh well, can we just like cancel that stream and restart it?
Yeah, of course, but like at the same time, like there's a
It's a little
chance.
frustrating, I'm
We've
sure.
we've already racked up 2 takedowns in less than, I don't know, 5 minutes. So
Oh.
YouTube is not happy with us tonight.
Oh well, okay. We gotta do useless fluff content. Okay, Minecraft time, guys.
Mm.
Fairy
It's
running
okay. You can
around.
fix it all in post.
Stop saying
Thank
that.
you.
You've
I'm a
got
little
her
Thank
pink.
saying it.
you.
I'm a little
Thank
pink
you, June.
Minecraft fairy.
You know,
Look at me, my blocks. Get out of my blocks, man. You're in my
I'm
blocks.
in your blocks.
You're in my blocks.
Yeah, I'm in your blocks.
you know
All my
what?
blocks.
Maybe
I'm
we
gonna
do
do
need
my
to produce
flossy over
Minecraft
here.
content.
Maybe we should do Minecraft content. Really? Is that what
Yep.
you just said?
Yep. I'm
Oh,
into it now.
No,
like
no. See, if I did Minecraft content, it would be tight. So it wouldn't work because they wouldn't like it because it would be too tight for them.
we do like can you fart in Minecraft,
Because
but
I
then
would
it's
do
just a
all kinds
theory
of
video?
crazy mods and stuff.
Yeah,
You'd be like,
yeah,
what the
yeah.
heck is going on in here? Can I say heck? Is YouTube going to ban me for heck?
Why don't we just start a fake channel and do that? I'll tell you what, I'm getting ready to start emailing right-wing celebrities and being like, I've been an anti-left operative deep in it. I'm trying to pull away people from the left, but I need your help. I need a patriot's help. Please donate to my Patreon so we can keep producing anti-left subversive content.
I'm sold.
I'm pretty sure we could get Jim Caviezel to just fund this show. And then oh my god, I
I
will
can, I can,
Jim
actually hire a
Caviezel.
live editor, and we will do this live.
I can help you with the wash, getting the money to the right place through the right proxies.
That is exactly right, Billy Carter. By the way, welcome chat. Welcome to the Sons of Trier. I'm Dan Cohen, aka Stalinist Prime. I'm
Yeah.
shot calling. I'm balling. If I could, I'd vote for Stalin. I brought that back. You see what I did? I brought it back.
I saw that.
It wasn't even mine,
And
That's
but I brought
I
interesting.
it back.
and I am Tanky McTankface, also known as Michael Jordan Peterson.
Jenk, you have the floor.
I'm Cenk Engels back, self-hating capitalist, back for another round.
Excellent. And Juniper, are you still with us?
I lost the ability to figure out where my fucking mic button was. Hi.
Hey, that's perfectly good content. It's almost as good as a Minecraft video.
Yeah. This is our quality content. Can you fart in Minecraft? Today we're going to figure out whether or not commodities are produced by machines, capitalists, or the proletariat.
Oh,
Smash that
demonetized.
like and
It said
subscribe, and remember that
capitalism.
human labor is crystallized in commodities so that it produces the actual commodity. It is work performed, crystallized in, ergo work is created.
You got to save the stream and talk about child labor because you mentioned capitalism.
It's based! Yay!
Yes, Daddy, more child labor.
More child labor!
How
Ha!
else are you going to instill that work ethic at an early age?
The
That's
children yearn
content,
for the
Daddy.
mines.
That's content. They don't even pay them. It's unpaid labor. I mean, I'm sorry. I did not mean to criticize social medias for
All
their
right.
obvious child labor.
Now, I promise tonight to take down a current affairs because, number one, I don't trust Nathan J. Robinson. I think a man whose accent has no geography is suspect.
Where is he? Where is he from? Because I thought he was like somewhere left. But
He,
I don't know why. But then now looking at his stuff, it's like what
all right,
what
I'm going to start
What?
here.
what
Start here.
what?
In much the same way that a conservative and the fascist are all on the amorphous right,
Hmm.
his kind of tepid, fucking Belgian socialism and our stance are
Belgian
on the
Oh,
amorphic
he's one
left.
of
socialism.
those.
Yeah,
He's a
Belgium is a.
DSA guy.
Make no mistake that Belgium is a socialist country. However, that's not the kind of socialism I want.
They still exploit other countries. Still
Uh,
imperialist.
oh yeah, they do. As it turns out, when you mix your socialism and your capitalism, what you get is a couple less homeless people and still the same amount of alienation, exploitation, and imperialism. The EU sends its regards. That was the
Now I'm
only base
paranoid.
thing
What can
about
we say
Brexit.
without getting taken down? Can we say imperialism?
Yeah, Here,
Is that like politically? I don't know.
I'm going to try to get us another takedown though, because that was the base part about Brexit, getting out from the EU's thumb, because it is still an
Mm,
imperial organization. Unfortunately, they did it in a kooky
Yeah,
right wing way, where they were like,
yeah.
blah,
famous
blah, blah.
anti-imperialists, the Great Britain.
They're now our colony, though. Let's be fair. They
Yeah,
are.
That's
all of Europe, you mean, right?
Uh, yeah, more or less.
Yeah, yeah, with the gas, with the liquid. Yeah, yeah, they're all our colony.
Yeah, that's just an
How does
American
it feel?
colony.
How does it feel to have no power, no self-determination? Welcome, welcome.
got,
First time, guys. First time.
got your fucking comeuppance now, didn't you, Europe?
You thought you was tight, and then there was like, then there was like, oh, what are these gas prices?
They're finding out the hard way now. To be fair though, they just immediately were just like, all right, then fuck it, we're going back to Nazism. How do you like that? And it's like, wow, that took you guys 5 minutes.
It always does. It always
you
does.
guys stubbed your toes.
Yeah,
It's like technically capitalism and fascism are totally different things, but when you're willing to like trip over a small rock and then switch over to fascism, it's you kind of see why we kind of think it's the same thing.
yeah. You went there real fast. I'm not willing to make the argument that capitalism and fascism are unilaterally 100% the same thing. But I find it fucking creepy how quickly y'all just are just like, fuck it, that's what we're doing then. Fuck it. You
Going
made us
full
Look what
fast.
mildly
you made us
inconvenient.
do.
Yeah. Look, that's right.
Yeah, the abusers' famous words.
That's it. Oh, you made me do this. All right, man, I guess. I mean, I don't see how. I didn't ask you to fucking, I didn't ask you to go along with fucking NATO and, fucking make Russians all paranoid psychopaths. That wasn't
Ugh,
me. I didn't do
it's
that.
Mein Kampf time.
I do say it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I haven't had my
Sir,
tea. I shall do a
sir,
fascism
sir, why is Mein Kampf in your back pocket, bro? It's
in case I need it.
almost like you were prepared for this.
Yeah. Well, you never know when you're going to need the collected works of esteemed writer Mr. Adolf Hitler and all that.
Oh, and they loved him. They loved him.
Winston
But they don't
Churchill
like
really
him for
did love
that.
Hitler, though.
No, all of them did. All of them. All of them. All of them.
Just
They were
the
like such
British.
a great guy, and then he started killing white people. They're like, oh,
Oh, that's
ooh.
not cool. I do say there,
oh, we
chap.
can't have that.
Yeah, it really
And
wasn't until he attacked them that they were like, this Hitler guy's all right. I don't know why we're mad at him. I don't
oh, they
understand
was bending
this.
over
I mean,
backwards.
he
Even freaking Trotsky was bending over backwards for the dude.
and like their
Yeah, we're going there. We're talking
king
solid, so let's go there.
Okay.
Who's king?
and the UK's king before he decided to like unking himself so he could like run off with his skank, but they were
Skanking.
they were big supporters of uh the the German side as I understood it.
The
Skanking with
Wehrmacht.
Hitler. Skanking with Hitler.
Yeah. It's weird how quickly they jumped to it. They were just like immediately like, I dare say, it looks like this Hitler chap has the right idea about the Jews. Yeah, we don't forget. That's what kind of pains me, because you'll see like Jews from England too who are just like, I do say these trans people are right hideous, and it's like, yeah, that was Churchill. Churchill thought you were
Hmm.
hideous. Why don't you shut the fuck
Hmm.
up? Maybe they're not the problem here, huh? Maybe it's the goddamn turfs on Turf Island.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Maybe it's the bigots. Oh, I dare say these bigots are mad at me. I don't know why. I'm just not like them.
Nothing internalized there. Nothing.
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 Then again, like, you know
Okay.
what? I've heard people who've been basically like, we shouldn't have intervened to help England, and we should have intervened more to help Russia and like the Greek revolutions and shit. And if you follow that historical through line, like, America still wins. England's absolutely wiped off the fucking map. It is an American colony in the actual sense, right? But if you do that, and America and Russia actually do cooperate and coexist, and then by extension China and Russia and America like coexist, like, it's funny when I see Jews on Twitter like postulate that, but then back Israel, because like Israel wouldn't be a fucking thing if the Americans and the Europeans were like, oh, good, like now that Hitler fella's made it, like the worst possible thing you can do is kill him, right? Now we can just deport him to Israel. Like, like
Yeah,
now we can do it and it's based. Like,
yeah.
I just that's the kind of shit that makes my head spin because like if that doesn't happen, there's no need to deport all of the Jews from Europe and America to form Israel as a colony against the Middle Easterners.
They
Like,
get lucky and then say, "Hey, we're the chosen people."
yeah, we chose you to get the hell out. That's what they
I'm
do to them.
sorry, you don't remember what was happening before, do you? Do
Yeah.
you?
This is the kind of shit that like this is why Kissinger and people like that really drive me up a wall. Because goddamn well had things played out just a dash differently, there'd be no Israel.
Hmm.
There wouldn't be. And we would be fine with it because we'd have just been like, ah, cool, we're still hanging out and doing everything else we were doing anyway. Like everything would have been fine, except then the Europeans would have been forced to reconcile our existence and not go, oh, thank fuck. Not the worst possible thing has happened. They won't notice our deportation campaign against the Jews.
Crikey, a little bit of hypocrisy, eh? This is a spot of hypocrisy.
Oh, good Kansas accent, according to Nathan J. Robinson.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Where is he from? Nobody knows. His country doesn't fucking exist. That was, you know what? You can't trust William F. Buckley for the exact same reason. The accent he postulates and pretends to have doesn't fucking exist naturally. It's not something people talk like. And
It's
yeah,
not an accent, it's an affectation.
yes. And if you have to spend your entire life in an affectation, you're a fucking liar. So let's start there. That guy, shady as fuck. Also, I've seen his type.
Liars in politics?
They can pontificate very well, but at the end of the day, they have some shitty opinion that's real nasty that they don't tell you about, and they can't take a punch when they say it. So there you go. I'm calling it. That guy, Glass Chin, will have that celebrity boxing match anytime anybody wants to set it up.
Yeah, and that current affair article. Okay, no. I'm just let's keep on the course. 'Cause I don't
Oh, we're getting to it.
because why the f did they have to feel the need to throw in a Jordan Peterson out of nowhere? He has nothing relevant to say about anything ever.
No,
Okay,
as a
okay.
as a general rule, if you turn to Jordan Peterson for your thoughts, you fucked up. If you turn
Hey
to Jordan
Jordan,
Peterson,
hey Jordan, what do we do about the Jews? Jordan,
oh,
what do we do about the Jews?
it depends on what your definition of do and Jew is. It, I'm not certain what words are because I have rejected the Derridian notion of the signifier. So I don't know. I refuse all postmodernism. So words don't mean anything to me anymore, except I know what a woman is and what a vagina is, and I know that I don't have sex with either of them. That's I define them in opposition to my lack of sex with my shitty, deformed, rotted man penis.
This is the guy they reference. This is
So
Hmm.
not far off.
is he the only guy so far where the AI version of him would be more coherent than the actual like living breathing human being?
No,
One,
there's a
Ooh,
couple.
one thousand percent.
There's
he's the
more.
first one for sure.
Right. I mean, we'll all get there eventually, but I mean as of right now, I mean, I definitely
How do
think
you
he
make
falls in
Biden
that
any
bucket.
more coherent? Like,
His AI, because his AI version can define a fucking word.
mhm.
It still speaks English, which he portends to fucking hold in esteem higher than in higher fucking esteem than anything, like breathing. He holds like the fucking English language and fucking Western culture and all this shit. It's weird though he could not define that term. He can't speak the language, yet we're supposed to believe he's some kind of authority on who gets to be a fucking counted in Western civilization. Yeah, okay. All right. That's this is where Marx again teaches us how to handle the situation. That's so goddamn stupid, I can ignore it. Like that's the
Yeah,
dumbest fucking thing. And he is legitimately a dumb person. Uh Chat, Gilbert Gottfried's voice is fake too. He played it up. He did naturally have that Grady voice, but he
that's
definitely
a
played it up.
that's acting though. That's different.
Yeah. And that is he was, that's his character. He's running a bit and he's open about it. That's kind of critical. What we're saying is Nathan J. Robinson he has this accent, which is kind of like a crikey Australian mate, but he
Yeah, he's
claims to
trying
have
to
been
sound more
raised
legitimate by sounding like an Australian man.
and
I don't
claiming
get
to
how
be
that
from
works.
England and America, but talking like an Australian with a head cold.
Yeah,
With the head cold.
Yeah, it's a fake accent. That's the point. He is a fake motherfucker. And I am not required to tolerate it. I'm sorry. I'm going to stop pretending he's a serious person because he has to lie that bad. All right.
that's why you got to throw salt on Stalin
Yeah.
because he knows he goes to the gulag
Yeah. And
in
there are
any
people.
rational world.
I'm going to say this too. I'm going to take a shot at Ben Burgess, and I have a really high opinion otherwise of Ben Burgess, but he's like, no, Nathan's a really smart guy. Nathan is really good at pretending to be smart, but at best his intellectualism is paired with a core fundamental weakness. At best, and at worst, he is the same filthy fucking liar as William F. Buckley, and the fact that you're taken in by this fucking tard is a little bit depressing. That was turd, thank you. Not a reduction of the R slur. I have a head cold. Just realized how that sounded.
It's all good.
But yeah, this little fucking turd is just a goddamn liar. So he says dishonest shit. And I know Ben is not a what we would call a Stalinist in our circles, which everybody has their flaws, don't they? I'll leave it at that. But Nathan J. Robinson and his fucking crew, they're pig fuckers. All right, they are pig fuckers. Fuck them.
Man,
Is this the little
2023,
motherfucker? Is
everybody's
this the little
falling.
motherfucker in the purple suit?
Yes.
The
So
All right,
weird dandy.
the purple suit is
The
kind of swag.
weird
I'm not gonna lie,
dandy.
that suit is kind of swag. But other than that,
no,
I'm not a.
No, I mean maybe if you're from the 70s.
yeah, but again, he's a fucking monstrous anachronism. What is he? Tell me where he's from. Is he from New Zealand, Australia, England, the weirdest part of Canada, a weirder part of America?
Weirdest part of Canada.
Where in the fuck is this motherfucker from? You have a voice that has no geography, and I know I'm obsessing about it, and I'm sorry.
Oh, no, he sounds really weird.
Yeah, he
Is
sounds
he
super
Welsh?
fucking weird.
He might be Welsh.
No, it's not Welsh. Welsh people sound like Scots, like natural Scots, i.e., they don't speak English. Welsh is its own language. It's not English. Like they don't. That's not their
And
natural language.
and they're also committed to not speaking to people when like they come from outside into Wales.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're strongly committed to the bit of like we didn't invite you here, so we don't have to like actually acknowledge you. Which I got no problem with. I think that's reasonable.
It would be different if Wales didn't suck. Objectively, it's a shitty piece of land.
I do though. I do like how like TV shows that they make there, like Torchwood or whatever. Like if the thing is made in Wales and it kind of has like a Welsh audience, the ingenue always looks the same. Instead of being like a blonde haired, blue eyed ingenue, it's this like Welsh freak with like ebony hair and like weird
Named
turquoise
Gwen.
eyes. You're like, ah, holy shit!
Yeah, it's
Welsh
spelled Gwen, but it's
person.
pronounced Guinea. You're like, where did you get the 90 extra consonants from? Yeah, and like the difference between the average British guy and the average Welsh guy, right? They're both a fat, bald, like rotund person who's like the same height as they are in diameter. And they both hate immigrants, but the one thing, like, the British guy treats the Welsh guy like an immigrant too.
Were the Welsh white before or after us? Did the Welsh become white before or after the Irish?
Who the hell knows? I'm pretty sure the English don't consider them white. I'm
English
like
don't consider
95% certain.
Still to this day.
If you're British, you don't consider the English, the Scots, or the Welsh to be white. Like, I'm pretty sure that's the case. They're definitely like, they're Irish. And you're like, what in the fuck?
They're the dark Irish.
Yeah.
They're the swarthy Irish.
There's the tough, there's the tough Irish, the pencil-necked Irish, and the weird language Irish.
I'm sure there is. I'm sure there's a town somewhere in the UK where instead of like saying what race or ethnicity somebody, they just call everybody a different adjective of Irish. Like,
And it's always an insulting adjective.
yes. Like if it's a Jamaican dude, they're like, "Oh, that's the fucking pot smoking Irish." Like,
Yeah. Oh, look, it's Kingston
Bug-
Irish.
Bug-spoken Irish.
Kingston Irish. That
You-
guy's one of those
It
Kingston Irish.
there is a historical and material thing that produces that Irish sentiment here that they were the first boops, and it's because in England, like they kind of were. Like that's
They call
like the original term for black people, the original disparaging term for black people from England was the African Irish. So
it's like a Pacific, it's like a Hawaiian guy, and they're like, "Oh yeah, coconut Irish." Yeah.
oh look, yeah, the
we
island
know.
Irish are here. The Oriental
Sea
Irish. Yeah.
It's one of those sea Irish, you know, canoes and shit.
Yeah, Middle Easterners were originally called the Persian Irish, so
You know, I call them sand Irish.
yeah, the sand. Well, that's when it got real racist.
Aw.
I don't know if I like where this bit is
Oh
going.
boy.
I
You know
started
what?
this bit.
History's dark, my friend. History is a dark place. This is the reason you don't like it is because you know how awful history is, but it's real and we have to deal with it.
The worst
I mean,
of all
am I
timelines.
going to stop this bit right now before it gets any worse? Yes. But am I going to say sand Irish again at some point? Yeah, probably. But like, for now, I'm stopping the bit.
Yeah. Oh, okay. You've officially come in and killed the bit. I know exactly what you mean. I love Wales. I hate Buckley. I'm a BritBox Acorn MHC app watcher. All right.
That's a lot of stuff.
That is a lot of stuff. Some of that I don't understand. Those words
certainly are words.
those are
Certainly are words.
those are words that have a definition in English, but I don't know what that definition is. I'm sorry. I find it easier to be honest because at least then you know where you need to correct me.
Yeah.
I'm tapping out on this one. I just don't know. I do know the BBC announcer sounds like somebody is cucking his wife and he's very dispassionate about it. And next up on BB3, wait, and next up on BBC 3, you can watch a rousing episode of Doctor Who starring that African Irish who cucked me last night.
BBC for when you need bigoted Fox News type shit, but you also need to go to sleep.
Yeah.
They call in other news this week Twitter was bought by a pale Irish. Bought by
Pale African Irish.
That's the only Afrikaners are the only people that are whiter than Irish people, so they call them pale Irish.
I will say it's pretty ballsy to call like a civil war happening on your soil for 4 decades post World War II the Troubles. Like, that's a ballsy move. Good for you.
Just a spot of bother.
Yes, but yeah, it would have been more amazing if they had called it that, right? Oh, it's a spot
It's
of the Irish spot of bother now.
Little bit of troubles.
Yeah, just a tad. It's like a feud. It'll be over, we think.
It's a disagreement.
Yeah, the jaunty disagreement. It went through a lot of A/B testing to land on the Troubles. We want it taken seriously, but we still have to downplay it.
It's not as bad. I mean, that's what it is, though. Is that they're looking back to World War II. It's just it's not.
Excuse me. To the British, it was called a right kerfluffle.
That is their point of comparison, though. Is they're looking back to World War II, and they do have a point. It's not as bad as that whole thing with the crowd Irish.
The Huns. They called them the Huns.
The sausage Irish.
Yeah. There was
wasn't Jerry a thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Cherry Irish.
Actually, is that more? Wait, sorry. Was that more World War One? I'm getting my Great Wars confused.
No, that was World War II. World War One was the Huns.
Okay.
Yes.
I thought it was more the Hun. Like Like a singular, like
plural.
collective noun.
Yeah. I think that might be right. I think Hun maybe is plural. I don't know.
Let's
No,
get
because
some honey buns.
they would say beat back the Huns.
Yeah.
They were incredibly racist about it because you figure they were comparing, like they were comparing they were very okay. Let's be fair. In 1910, the British were very familiar with the word mongoloid and all of its myriad horrific uses, right? So you figure at that point they were definitely aware of what they were saying. They were like acutely
Of course they're
aware, and
familiar with it. They invented it.
yeah, not only were they acutely aware, they were insanely proud of themselves.
Connoisseurs
Well, we did there.
of
Yeah, we
like
did there.
disparaging euphemisms.
Yes. Jolly good show, lads. We definitely did a racism today.
I'm doing way too many racisms in my head. I've done like several versions of that stupid
Yeah,
bit.
bro.
That
Are you
I'm
okay? You're doing a lot of Hitlers today.
Yeah, you're all
I'm,
over
I'm,
the Hitlers.
I mean, I'm thinking about the next group of people that got involved in World War II after the Proud Irish. I'm not saying that
The spaghetti Irish.
one. I forgot about them.
And the cool wall scroll Irish.
That's the one I was thinking of.
Oh, well, yeah, the racism was off the charts there. But getting back to current fucking affairs. Alex Skopik, allegedly is his name. Stalin was socialism's worst enemy. Well, considering his
What?
country
Yeah, I
survived for
saw
70
that.
years, and
What?
all you can do is take subscription fees and not advance socialism. Suspect.
I'm sorry. You don't sound much like a socialist to me at all. Anyway, sounds,
Well,
sounds like an enemy trying to give me advice under the
let's
pretense of harming me.
yes, let's
I'm
make
just
our
saying.
Stalin's now been dead for 70 years. Strange. I'm paraphrasing to some degree. Strangely, though, he still has living supporters. It's not all that strange. The idea, this is somebody who is like, can you believe people still like Nietzsche? Famous people tend to have supporters long after they're dead. All right, that's just a base thing. So that's not all that surprising.
I mean,
Second
I
off,
we don't
noticed
like
this
every American
guy.
I know is doing Nietzsche.
yeah. Se-
They're just like
Second
doing
off,
it.
I would like to point out, right, that this person, spoiler, is going to make a lot of comparisons to Stalin is the same as Hitler. So, like, are you mortified that Hitler has, like, you're making the comparison, so I'm going to indulge this just a little bit. You start with this
No,
stranger, though he still has living supporters.
because they
So does
believe
Hitler.
because they believe Stalin is worse than Hitler.
Yeah, that's the subtext there, isn't it? Because, like, it's for some reason like you're gonna make that comparison, but then we're gonna start off with somehow he has living supporters. I got bad news, dude. Like, Bob, like, fucking Jimi Hendrix died a while ago, and people still like his music. Like, this is a thing that people do, right? They remember the dead.
Well, all
So,
the flag humpers in this country love their quote unquote founding fathers, and they've been
Yeah.
dead for significantly longer than 70 years.
Christ,
No,
trillions
Yeah,
of years at this point.
people
extremely
like
bad.
people like figures who aren't even famous.
Yeah, or Christ, they're famous for really mortifying shit, like Charles fucking Manson. I don't even have to jump to Hitler. I can just jump to Charles Manson. People like that guy for some reason. So, like, the idea that Stalin would have it is not strange to me. And I don't know, that sentence really bothers me, right?
That sounds like it though. Is that you already hit it? I think is when whoever this guy or any of these similar guys are like, "Oh, Stalin was so bad." You probably at your earliest opportunity, you should just jump right into the middle of their sentence and be like, "Well, he's not as bad as Hitler, right? I mean, Hitler was worse, right?" And then watch him go, "Well."
Yeah, just
yeah.
start squirming. Well, remember, we're talking about the goddamn country here that's so hyper propagandized that they can sit here and condemn socialism, but fucking crickets whenever say and when people say, "Hey, let's stop Nazism, let's stop
Yeah.
fascism, let's condemn fascism," they're like,
Ooh, we don't want to be mean to the Republican Party. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
let's not do
Respect
that.
people's
No, no,
views.
no, no, I can't do that."
Want to respect people's opinions
Yeah, we want to
about
respect
who
their
died.
opinions.
They literally voted to not to not condemn Nazism.
Yeah.
Literally. This is not me. I'm not making shit up here. I'm like, literally.
my grandpa is old and he has a lot of fucked up views. Okay, it's not his fault. He's not going to be around that much longer. Let's take it easy on my grandpa and my uncle, who is not as old, but
Yeah, well,
also,
your great grandpa would have curb stomped him
I have
yeah,
for saying
I
that shit.
absolutely.
I have more sympathy for the now dead old women who were like, if we had just kept the Kaiser, none of that shit would have happened. Like, there are a lot of German women who had that attitude about World War II. If we had kept the Kaiser, none of this shit would have went down, and we'd have been better off for it. I have way
I'm
more
sorry.
sympathy for that idea. Because
That seems plausible.
and you know what? Because at least they admit it was wrong, right? At
Yeah.
least they were admitting it was wrong.
Hey guys, let's ban the books.
Yeah. Spend enough time on the socialist left, and you'll eventually encounter this vocal minority of latter day Stalinists. Some are just online trolls and contrarians who use Stalin's image for shock value and absurd memes, Stalin turning SpongeBob's Goo Lagoon into Gulag, and so on. Others, though, are quite serious about their Stalinism and see the USSR of the 1930s and 40s as something to admire and imitate today. Here, see right there, isn't that sussy shit? Because like that says that
Mhm.
like what it says immediately is that we're not understanding of historical materialism and historical context and material conditions, right? Like, what a shot! What a brazen fucking shot!
All these tanky kitties, they're just like the Nazi kitties.
Yeah, like, oh, we're so
They're just
fucking
trying to get a
stupid.
rise out of people.
We're all so fucking stupid that we're nostalgic for a country that we were never born into, and most of us weren't alive when it existed, or were barely alive when it existed. Let alone, none of us were alive when Comrade Stalin was alive. Okay, all right, fuck you, dude. How about that? How about fuck you? Because I have some nasty things to say about their variant in socialism that we're gonna get to at the very end to criticize back, right? But
Yeah.
oh yeah, don't worry. Open the door. Among them are tenured academics like Dr. Asatar Bear, who is based, and Slavoj Žižek, also based but sometimes risky. They have dabbled in Stalin apologia, with Zizek notoriously declaring better the worst of Stalinism than the best of liberal capitalist welfare state in his book Trouble in Paradise. Well, in
Zizek
one of those
lies, but where
countries,
is this lie?
yeah, in one of those countries, yeah, it was shitty. There were public executions. There were open brutality. There were man-made famines. Uh, there were um, fucking public disappearances. There were police running all over the street, just absolutely
We have
murdering
all of this
minorities.
shit. We
Hold
have
on,
Wait,
all of this shit right
which one?
now.
hold on,
Which one is
and then
that?
there was also Stalinism, right? So, which did all of those things less and at a slower pace.
That's
Which,
probably my favorite one when they say public executions. It's like,
yeah,
oh my. Oh, that'd be so terrible if people in
You mean
America had to see somebody be executed in broad daylight. That'd be so fucked up if that happened.
yeah,
sort of like a lynching?
yeah.
Yeah.
George Floyd sends his regards, doesn't
Fucking
he?
assholes.
Yeah.
Yeah. By themselves, these figures are fairly marginal, but the politics Stalin represents, admiration for dictators, disdain for
Eh,
democracy and debate, I'll let that one
Ooh.
hit. I have a counter.
yeah.
And a fast and
Yeah.
loose approach to human rights in the historical record, that's a push, are far more widespread. So how, might we ask, do otherwise intelligent people find themselves drawn to Stalinism then and now? What is the appeal? Um, First off, debate is bullshit. I covered
Yeah.
this on Twitter, but debate is open bullshit. We're not the Greeks. Again, no historical context. Americans don't like debate for the purposes of intellectual rigor. They like debate in the same way they like to see Macho Man Randy Savage fucking drop a flying elbow. That's why they
Amer-
like debate.
American debate is, why is Stalin a baby eating monster?
Yeah, it's not an intellect. Debate is not a pursuit for intellectuals. It is fucking kayfabe wrestling.
And like it's not as bad as if they're just talking about intellectual stuff, like really deep stuff that's not really hand on a lever of
And, thi-
power
and
of
this
any kind. But
and
most of the
this is what
debate in America is about who to starve to death, even though there's enough food for everyone.
So
And all of this debate is couched in great man theory bullshit.
Yes.
yes,
All of
I
it.
just feel like Americans like to do, like, they think that debate is like your mama,
Yes.
but trying to sound
He's
smart.
all, oh, he's a brutal guy in a brutal time, and all the cruelty and brutalizing to the kulaks who didn't do anything wrong ever.
We'll
how
get
to
to that too.
how to debate the left and make it look like they're the chomos by Steven Pinker or whatever,
Yeah.
like
How to lie
No,
about who's
no.
doing the pedophilia by Ben Shapiro.
In this case, it would be William Randolph Hearst.
Yeah. And disdain for democracy. Motherfucker, I got bad news. Disdain for democracy is a fundamental organizing principle of the United States. It was written into the fucking Constitution. So the fact that
yeah,
we have a disdain for democracy, some of us on the left, and it happens to take the form of we would prefer democratic centralism where the central government is forced to listen to us and then do what we want. Yes,
Oh,
you're right.
God
We
forbid,
hate your
God forbid
democracy.
you go through the party. God forbid.
God for fucking bid they are required to listen to us. How fucking hideous of us. Democracy has been a consistent and utter failure. We would ask the mountains of dead in its wake, but we can't because democracies murdered those people. And
I think that's probably a lot of motherfuckers' problem is that they don't, and we are reaching more of a point in America now where you see some of this stuff have to actually get tried out for reals, like with the Roe v. Wade thing. Like you can
yeah,
finally ask them now, well, do you want to hang this woman? But like that's what a lot of democracy in America has led to, is putting up a big show so that they can kill somebody that they wanted to kill anyway, and then later saying, well, this is how people voted.
Yeah,
I mean,
those
the
TikTok
people.
trials.
This is how.
It's
Yeah,
those
this is how
TikTok
the people.
trials. It's those TikTok trials. Why are
Yeah,
you stealing our data? Why are you stealing our data? Why are you a Chinese spy? Why are you a Chinese spy? You dumb spy. Why don't you go jump off a cliff?
every motherfucker who's whining about China doing it, which is all the way across the Pacific fucking Ocean, or if you go the other way across the Atlantic and then a whole fucking Asian continent, none of those motherfuckers mind the privacy and democratic violations being committed by the US government against US citizens, something they could actually do about. There is not a fucking person in America who has a respect for American democracy. I'm sorry. That's the God's honest truth.
Not a
Whatever
one.
form it takes, fine. But Republican democracy, as we have it, sucks so much shit that 330 million Americans despise it. It
look,
is the
geez,
All,
single
Jason.
unifying principle.
all I'm saying is they want to call Stalin a dictator and autocrat. Fine. You got to call every U.S. president a dictator. You got to call every CEO a
Yeah,
dictator. You got to call every capitalist a dictator. That's all I'm asking. Just
I
a little
thought so.
consistency here.
I thought socialism was for white people until Malcolm and Martin. The Stalin stuff is very alienating. Famine in Ukraine. Nice.
Oh, black radicals, God forbid.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only scary kind of
But I
radicalism.
thought we couldn't make up our minds about anything for ourselves.
Yeah. Except,
Are we infants or are we intellectuals?
yeah,
the white radicals, those are just college kids. They'll go out of that phase. But the black radicals, that's a cause for concern.
we better just
Yeah.
bomb them in their
Can't have
apartments. Yeah. Okay, so we can
can't
find the
have that.
keyword. We can find the keyword in Bear's comments. Strength. Stalinists long for a strong left that wins at any cost, one that isn't afraid to fight dirty or use harsh and autocratic methods against its enemies. In the
Oh, there's
Anglophone
autocrat.
West, some may have been disillusioned by the electoral defeat of figures like Bernie Sanders and Jeremy Corbyn and concluded that democratic socialism is too weak for the task at hand, turning to more authoritarian strains instead. Pushback. We were already on the Stalin's train at that time. Sanders and Corbyn were our offering for reconciliation. You misunderstand the situation. We always liked him. We always did. Most of us. Jank, I understand you have your reservations, but you notice how I don't hate you for them.
Sure. And I do feel like my reservations were well founded and very consistent.
Yeah, Jank's just closer to an anarchist. We've had that debate.
Yeah.
So,
We
like,
can walk up Stalin and put him next to a cage next to every living U.S. president, and we're probably better off for it.
He is in the minority, but we are the real free speech advocates here. That's why he's not going to gulag.
Damn it.
See? Yeah, I
I was
nice try.
hoping for gulag.
You were not hoping for gulag. It will suck. Also, you're right. When we are faced with an enemy, and let me be very clear, when we are faced with an enemy who is advocating for open murder on the streets against us and innocent people, it is the correct position to be willing to defend yourself. So strength is, I agree. I agree with the charge. We seek a strong left because the weak left sucks away money into fucking vanity political projects and into their own goddamn coffers without
Vanity
giving.
Fair is a political con?
Current Affairs is a vanity project for Nathan Robinson at this point as the chief editor. And Cenk Uygur had that failed fucking political run where he, like, for the master of politics that he alleges himself to be, the fact that he was not prepared to actually argue against the Democratic Party was fucking sus. That was a weak fucking move. So we pump all this money into these fucking influencers and shit, this media class, these workers who don't fucking organize any kind of work, who have all this fucking. By the way, you have a platform where you actually could formally organize shit. The most we can ever get out of it is mustering to do things that libs were always going to pay for anyway. That's fucking sus. That's a weak left. We are perfectly fine with force used against the fascists. Charge accepted. It is one of our fucking merits. So the fact that you don't find that self-defense is a cause worth rallying around is unsurprising, but it's also depressing. And we did like Bernie Sanders and Jeremy Corbyn. I still do. I understand they're old. I like them. I understand Grandpa's old and tired. And they did a screw job on the fucking classic lad. But understand from our perspective, at least from Michael Jordan Peterson and I think I can speak for pretty clearly, that was us extending a fig leaf. We are far.
And then them throwing it on the ground and pissing on it.
Yeah, you threw it on the people like you threw it on the ground and pissed on it, Alex. Fuck you. How about that? In the global south, meanwhile, some labor leaders and activists see the former USSR as fairly benign compared to genocidal abusers like the US and Britain. Duh. And admire Stalin himself enough to
Shocker.
name their kids after him. Yeah, it's weird. If you killed less people, they're fucking way more comfortable with you. And if you didn't kill people like them, whereas US and Britain did, they certainly don't want to emulate the US model. I wonder if that has anything to do with the decision making. The litany of fucking crimes the United States and Britain have
And
fucking
the
committed.
lies, the fucking lies, the propaganda and the lies. So
Yeah.
many lies.
There's
Like I can't like this guy accusing us of propaganda. What? Using every State Department talking point.
yeah.
So counter-revolutionary, huh?
Yeah, we're so goddamn counter-revolutionary for pointing out that the US and Britain have collectively murdered more people than China could even hope to fucking scoreboard on.
Hell, the prison system alone.
The prison system alone rivals those numbers. On an annual fucking basis, mind you. The pound for pound, you're like, this game is morbid and dark, which they will point out cynically, right? This Alex son of a bitch will point out cynically, but I'm still going to address it. Pound for pound, the American and British and the fucking capitalist prison systeming, which is templated on slave capture, has alone murdered way more fucking people pound for goddamn pound than the worst abuses under any socialist regime. So if you were to ask me, do I think those should happen? Most likely they shouldn't have happened. But if you think for a second I give a shit about that as some kind of cause celebrity to disown the whole history of socialism, when I live in a fucking country that is so fucking bloody, I'm drowning in the shit, You're ridiculous. Of course we're going to pick the people who would side with us over siding against us and keeping us oppressed. This is ridiculous. There's no fucking wonder why third worlders would do that. Because they're in the third world precisely because America made sure to sabotage any hope of them fucking raising their standard of living. They enslaved them to this goddamn day. Look at the sweatshops around the world run by fucking American companies like Nike.
Oh yeah, and they want to talk about the Holodomor and famines like we don't have open slave markets due to fucking capitalism right now. Like we don't have famines every goddamn day.
Like we're
Like we
not,
don't have like we don't have starving kids in this country right now.
yeah,
The ones
systematically.
you're trying to take the school lunches away from. The ones
The,
you're trying to throw in work.
preach it.
It's fucking it's just boggles the mind. It boggles the mind.
It's fucking insane. The premise of this article is asking us to relitigate a country that none of us were born in, under a leader that none of us lived under. When we're living under right now, the living remnants, and in some cases, open perpetrators or children of perpetrators or grandchildren of perpetrators of the absolute worst human rights abuses committed. And that extends, that's not just an American, that's not American exceptionalism in that. That is the whole goddamn capitalist world. All of it. All of these fucking leaders, all these fucking inbred son of a bitchin' leaders, all of them collectively form a class that is more murderous than the fucking worst of the Roman tyrants could ever hope to be because they can mechanize it at scale and
Shit,
disassociate from their
at
own
least the
crimes.
Pharaoh let us get a break every
Yeah,
once in a while for a festival.
the Pharaoh gave you 10 hours a day off. The fucking capitalists literally extract something from you 24 goddamn 7. They alienate you from your own fucking physical form. The Pharaoh could not hope to have achieved that. It is worse in the capitalist world. So when they fucking have to run to, oh, Stalin bad, even if I agree with that premise on its face, even if I agree with that premise on its face, you can name like 4 US presidents who murdered far more fucking people, directly and
In-
indirectly.
Indian Removal Act, anyone?
Thank you. Thank you. Slaveholding
I'm sorry, we're not
motherfuckers.
supposed to read history, are we? We're supposed to
No.
be totally ahistorical,
W-
like
a-
you guys.
Exactly. Exactly. Phew. Hence the jarring appearance of political figures like India's M.K. Stalin or Sri Lanka's Joseph Stalin, a trade unionist arrested for helping to organize a general strike in 2022. In either case, the underlying assumption is that Stalin really was a man of steel portrayed in Soviet propaganda, a tireless warrior who embodied the will of the global working class, and an implacable enemy of exploiters and fascists everywhere. It's a it's a fucking signifier to rally around. That's it. That's all he is. Because he's dead.
Yeah. He's
That's
not
it.
going to do anything else. There's not going to be new Stalin just dropped. It's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. That era is
It would be
That's
over.
what
based
you
if it
Done.
think.
did. It would be based if it did.
That's what you think.
But no, this shit is exactly like all of the shit that and you read 10,000 articles like this, and they all say college professors are turning kids onto Marxism or Stalin or China or whatever.
Oh,
Like,
they're saying TikTok is turning kids
even
trans.
Yes.
even as easy as it is, even as easy as it is to get this information, it's never been easier to get really into Stalin. Most people aren't doing it because somebody was like, "Bro, you got to get into Stalin." Most people are doing it because they hate these motherfuckers.
Yes.
Maybe they finally, after years of their life, maybe they finally brushed up against like some of the really bad consequences of living in this country. And then in that mode, after that happened, whether it was a family member died that shouldn't have because of healthcare in this country, or something that happened to them at work that wouldn't happen to somebody that was working in France or somewhere, no matter what it is, they hate these motherfuckers. And when they're put into that mode where they really only want revenge for the people from the people that run this shit, that's all they really want anymore. They start looking around and they're like, "What's all that stuff that these American elites hate?" Oh yeah, communism, Stalin. They told me all this stuff about Stalin because they hate him so much. Let's go look into it, right? Like it's
And then
them
and then and then
doing
and then they see the propaganda, and then they see the lies of the propaganda, and then they
right.
see then they see the military paper saying that literally they were just socialists.
Yeah.
Yes, you
They
know,
lied.
it's not some professor that's turning people onto this shit. What's turning
No.
people onto this shit is an evil force that publicly proclaims I am capitalism, and my opponent is communism. Examples of capitalism include yada, yada, yada. Examples of communism include Stalin. Like, I heard about Stalin from them. Okay? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
uh,
You think they might
they
be
won't
lying
shut up
about it?
about it. Right. They won't shut up about him. And just like your friend, who every time you see him for weeks and then months and then years, won't shut up about this one guy or this one thing, finally you find out, well, that's because they're lying about that shit. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just,
It's the dare problem. You know, they're
yes.
like, don't do drugs, and you're like, what's drugs?
Why would I want to do drugs so bad? I'm 8. Everything seems fine.
These drugs, they sound pretty tight.
Yeah.
4 years later. Oh no, everything.
One
Let me
doesn't
check
just
out this suitcase so that I can identify all of the different drugs.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so then he gets into an account from Norman Finkelstein from Misadventures in Class Struggle, one of his essays, where they talk about essentially Finkelstein talks about how he was trying to reconcile the quote unquote Stalinist terror, right? Um, and then he goes on. These are, broadly speaking, the two rationales used by Stalin's defenders today. Either the murderous nature of his regime was completely fabricated, or the noble goal of revolution justified the requisite ruthlessness along the way. Mix and match as needed. Again, for some of us, it is a third option. The workers should defend themselves, and Stalin held the political power required to do that job, which is neither of those two things because it is an aggressive stance in a sense. It is still purely defensive, but it does not portend that a state regime was not bloody, nor does it lionize. These are just the nuts and bolts of these things. It is a materialist position. These are the nuts and bolts. At some point, okay, you have two
Oh,
options
you're
when
speaking French
somebody's
to them.
what's that?
You're speaking French to them. The
Yeah,
materialist position? What?
right. You have two options if you are enslaved and you get the opportunity to lash out. You really have three options, right? You can try to run away and hide and hope they don't find you. You can put yourself voluntarily back into bondage so as not to risk the wrath of the master. Or you can physically engage force and fight back. This is the reality of it. A lot of the fucking hatred is a vestigial hatred that the Soviets chose to fight back with force. They chose to apply force in favor of the workers, which is something Americans have unilaterally found a disgusting notion, time immemorial. That's it. That's the secret. That's why they hate them. And as they say, oh, there's all these old cliches, right? Revolution is not a dinner party. It's a cliche because it's true. It was true for the American Revolution. It was true for the French Revolution. There are a class of people who will defend to the death their right to oppress you, and you have to destroy the social relationships that allow for that oppression. They will try to initiate force to protect their right to oppress you. You may have to turn bloody. It's not
Yeah.
laudable, it's not exciting, but it is a thing that happens, unfortunately. Because there are
Waiting
some.
for
Let me
waiting for a
finish the
bunch of
point.
German mercenaries to get drunk on Christmas and fall asleep, and then cutting every one of their throats to a man is pretty hardcore, don't you think, America? Like,
Yeah. Like I
it's
got
pretty
bad news.
serious.
I respect this is how extreme I'm willing to give them. I respect the fact that there is theoretically, purely hypothetically, a chance that Adolf Hitler, out of the kindness buried deep within his heart, would have simply let our people go and our allies go and the people also imprisoned go. How much more blood than was already shed do you think it would get to before he was like, fuck it, it's not worth it anymore? How much blood do you think would have been shed?
They could have talked him into it if they used, logical facts and logic and reason. They could have reasoned with him. They could have talked him into it. They could have done that. I don't know why.
We're gonna soft boy nonviolence our way into it. We're gonna just
Yeah.
sing kumbaya.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know why they wanted to get so violent so quickly about it, you know?
Such a lack of civility.
Respectability.
How many more hundreds of years do you think it will be before America finally totally unilaterally outlaws slavery?
Never.
You
Yeah,
think
never.
never? How many more hundreds of years? I mean, that's the point, isn't it? Like those people are enslaved right now thanks to the American system. The people in our prison systems, the people who
They'll
work in
just find a
capitalist
new. They'll just
factories.
find a new rebrand for it.
Yeah.
The
Because the point of the language that supposedly protects, the point of federal worker protections in America is not like, that they actually protect anybody. It's just like a goalpost for what would be a bad look. It's just like, hey, corporation, if you said explicitly that you're doing this,
Challenge.
or if it looks like that you're doing this, that would be a bad look.
It's
So
a
if
it's
you
a
want to
challenge for
do
them to push
this,
back on. It is a challenge for them to push back on at any chance they get.
yeah,
right, right,
notably,
it's a challenge.
notably, I agree with you. But what are they doing right now? They're trying to strip those away. They are
They've never
actively.
stopped. They've always tried to.
Exactly. That's my point. My point is they are actively trying to do worse. They are trying to lower the bar, not raise it. Or they're not even, with how scant they are, they're not even trying to protect the bare fucking minimum.
No,
They're actively trying to erode it, along with a host of other civil liberties. So this idea that Stalin needs to go, again, he serves as a rallying cry around the fact that you need to sometimes protect your rights with force.
yeah,
Like, that's it. This idea, by the way, this is the idea of the weak leftists. The idea of the weak leftists is that violence is unilaterally abhorrent. You see this from Jake Uger and think like that. If, let's say, we did initiate force in Israel on the side of the Palestinians and said, if you cross this line and attack these people, we are going to have to respond to military aggression. How quickly do you think that situation would get better? At least in a direct physical danger sense. How quickly do you think that would clear up?
well, unfortunately, you see a lot of cats over at TYT breaking towards like the middle of like progressive opinion lately, and I think it's because I think they still, are in a comfortable enough position capital wise to where they can fantasize about fixing this. You
Finger
know,
quotes.
Yeah.
Finger quotes progressive.
that's
No,
what it is, right? Is
I'll
that
give them that they're
they're starting.
progressive. I won't. I see. This is where we disagree. I won't take that away from them. I think progressivism is insufficient at this point.
Yeah, oh,
That's just the
absolutely.
problem with it. I absolutely do not think they are away from the left. I don't think they're fake leftists, anything like that. I'm not making leveling any of those accusations. I just simply think that is a left opinion that is simply insufficient given the severity of
Yeah.
crisis.
Oh, yeah.
We are not.
It's not something people can process even.
Yeah, we are not talking about a stable world of nonviolence where democratic systems function that if you complain enough, they actually do something, right?
Right. And it's not visually comprehensible how bad it is. Like, okay, like Jeff Bezos's money or Elon Musk's money or any of them, if you converted it to cows, say, you would see this one idiot trying to hire enough people to run around and take care of all these cows. That's more cows than anybody ever needs. And then you would see this warehouse instantly fill with like too much milk and cheese, right? It's money that's in a computer, so you can't see how much more a Jeff Bezos or an Elon Musk has than anybody else. You can't visually see it. But if it was something years ago that you could understand, like cows or chickens or something, people
Right,
would be like, "Oh, well, this is dumb. He can't even collect all the eggs from all those chickens. This is
right,
stupid."
right.
He
Because
can't.
it's so
He can't
abstract.
even. He can't even count the amount of cows he has without
Right.
employing an entire team to try to figure it out.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. There's
he.
there's pockets of cows that are feral within the middle of the cow sphere. There's cows that have never even seen a human. Okay, it's stupid. They didn't need all those cows.
No,
That's
that.
what you would say, but you don't because it's invisible because it's money.
All right, moving on. It doesn't help, of course, that Stalin's most prominent critics today are actually red baiters who cynically use his crimes as a cudgel against socialism in general. Oh, all right. Oh, gee, I don't know why anybody would do that. Consider our old friend Ben Shapiro, who immediately jumped to condemn Dr. Barry's pro-Stalin comments, insisting that Stalin was a mass murderer responsible for the death of tens of millions of human beings. What is the point of your article? Which, by the way, they note that Ben Shapiro is absolutely pro-ethnically cleansing Palestine. Genocide. He's pro-genocide. Ben Shapiro is a puny little genocidist who wants other people to do mass murder for him so he can feel better. Because it doesn't even have a material benefit to him. He's such a fucking psychopath. Then there's Jordan
And
Peterson.
again, what self-respecting leftward leftists even references Jordan Peterson or Ben Shapiro? They shouldn't even be on your goddamn brain.
Well, the reason they're referencing them is to be like, see, these people are the crazy anti-Stalinists. We're the good anti-Stalinists, which you're doing the same. You're about to do the same goddamn work we're about to show, right? Jordan Peterson, then there's Jordan Peterson, who creates Solzhenitsyn's The Gulag Archipelago as a formative influence on his own hatred of radical leftists. And they are kind enough to point out that Solzhenitsyn was also an anti-Semite, you know. In the media, any responsibly prominent socialist can expect to get accused of being a potential Stalin. This guilt by association was the root of commentator Chris Matthews' public meltdown during the 2020 presidential primaries when he speculated that Bernie Sanders' victory would lead to executions in Central Park, and of Boris Johnson's rhetoric in the 2019 UK elections, where he accused Jeremy Corbyn of persecuting the rich with a relish and vindictiveness not seen since Stalin. God, we only fucking wish.
Dude, that was the happiest moment for me of the whole thing. That was when I climaxed during Bernie, dude.
Yeah.
That was when I climaxed. Because I was watching that shit, and you see Chris get all sweaty, and you see him get red, and you're like, oh, he's going to do the Chris Matthews thing. He's going to go off like he used to on Crossfire. But then he didn't. Then he said that we were going to machine gun him to death in front of the wall.
Which, by the way, what has he done that he feels like that's his outcome in all of this?
Right,
what
it was
has
news
Chris
to me
Matthews been responsible for that's what he jumps to?
It was news to me that we needed to deal with him day one, you know? So I wanted some more details from him about that, but then they told him to stop talking about it really fast, obviously.
Yeah. I'd like to know what you were doing, Chris Matthews, that you felt so fucking guilty and scared of a tepid democratic socialist that you thought you deserved to be executed. What in the fuck have you done with your life? Even goddamn Jordan Peterson and Bernie Sanders, or not Bernie Sanders, even Jordan Peterson and Ben Shapiro didn't think that a Bernie Sanders arrival would result in their own execution.
Yeah.
So
that was the
what in
happiest
the
night of the whole thing for me. It was all downhill after that, but that was the happiest night of the whole thing for me. Watching that clip.
So he props up these two to say I'm not as bad as them, but then proves that he's worse.
He proves basically what he's trying to do is this sleight of hand shit where he's like, no, I'm the good anti-Stalinist actually. Even though I'm about to quote the same goddamn things that they would, right? Even though I'm about to do the same kind of fucking bullshit, I'm going to quote the same fake fucking data, but no. Me, I'm good anti-Stalin. They bad anti-Stalin because we don't like them. Right? But even though on this issue you're actually in 110,000 fucking percent agreement. No, they're bad. And like, again, Sons of Trier, here's a radical stance we have. Jordan Peterson and Ben Shapiro can go fuck themselves to death. I don't care if they fuck each other to death. They suck. But let's not pretend you're not about to engage in the same goddamn rhetoric.
Yeah, that's who the argument to go out and be vocally anti all kind of communist shit. The argument to do that is to impress like people like these guys. So, we're really comfortable saying that no, don't do that. Fuck them.
Notice me, Daddy.
Then he does give
senpai.
Notice me, senpai. That's right. Notice me, VCs. Notice me, venture capitalists. They then give a positive Stalin quote. I'm not going to read through it. It goes for a little bit of some of the Soviet propaganda, which was true, right? The phrase Soviets would use a lot when they were criticized was, of course, you're lynching black folk, right? You're lynching Negroes. Which, where's the lie?
Yeah,
where's
there
the
is
lie?
none.
They, and of course, this was a cynical ploy, right?
And they still are.
Yeah, this is, of course, a cynical ploy. I'm sorry that everybody finds the truth to be so fucking cynical, right? That you don't.
The notion of 3 or 4 human beings living in captivity on this continent is, to me, is pretty strong. Again, George Washington slitting the Hessian mercenaries' throats while they were asleep on Christmas. It
Yeah.
was Christmas, you guys.
It
Again,
was a
these are
Christmas miracle.
it was a Christmas miracle, and it was a Christmas miracle, and it was followed by 3 generations of maybe 4 generations of people who were raised like cattle in this country. I mean, this is pretty hardcore stuff, man. This
Yeah.
is, you know, it's on a level with, I think it's safe to say, a lot of the great genocides and massacres that all of the other world leaders are constantly accused of.
Oh, on fucking par. And the British washing their own hands of this shit too. When they're like, oh, a slave in England was breathe the minute he breathed British air. Except for all those, those 200 years you spent capturing them and selling them. Yeah,
Jesus Christ.
those 200 years weren't so fucking great. Just you literally freed the slaves to cuck America, like, oh, see, we're better than you. But the only reason you did that is because you didn't have a colony where you could still sell slaves to. So you got mad. So you were like, fuck it,
Yeah.
we're gonna
Guess
just
we don't
And
need
it,
these anymore.
yeah. That's
And it had only been clear. It had been clear in your country for about 1,800 years who the fucking peon was anyway. So it's not like you were in any risk of, having an underclass penetrate the halls of great society in the United Kingdom. It's not like you were in any risk of that.
Yeah, it's not that much base to then turn that colonial aggression towards the Welsh and the Irish and the Scottish, by the way. That doesn't make you
Mm-hmm.
better. This is that cynical idea that no, genocide for white people is fine actually, right? This is that cynical fucking
Yeah.
it's the same cynical bullshit. As long as we turn it inwards against ourselves and the territory we've taken from these people, everything's fucking hunky dory. Yeah, okay. Fuck. By the way, fuck them too, right? Fuck England, fuck America, fuck them both. Um, And then it's funny because this is where they try to extend the olive branch. Like Stalin's cynicism led to aid to the civil rights movement. The lead up to the civil rights movement was the hundreds of years of abuses perpetrated in the fucking colonies. That the Soviets aided that cause is laudable, but let's not fucking pretend that wasn't Stalin's great accomplishment. All right, we're not here to underblow or overblow Comrade Stalin and the Soviets. Okay, I'm just going to lay that out there too to try to do this turnaround. So the reason I can be an anti-Stalinist is because I think so highly of him. Don't overblow. Don't lie about it. Stop lying.
Yeah. Or if you're going to say, let's not have a genocide, then we agree. Let's stop all of the genocide. If you're
Yeah,
going to be all critical of genocides all of a sudden,
it's weird that American arms manufacturers will have nothing to do if we stop all of the genocides globally.
yeah,
Nah,
let's stop that.
Isn't that odd?
isn't
That
it
thing of using,
convenient?
ethnic identity as a little quickie excuse to go ahead and, pick who to massacre for however many years.
Yeah,
You get
We
a
could
you
just
get a little
not do that
genocide as
if
a
we're going to be
treat.
on our high horse all the time.
that's right. What did you say, Jenk?
Oh no, no, no! I don't have anything.
Oh, okay. I thought you mentioned something. I was trying to give you
Just a
your
little
due.
genocide, a nice little genocide.
Yeah, just a
Yeah, I
Some
can have a
happy
little
food.
genocide as a treat.
yeah, so nibble on, just a nibbly. Um, well, sadly, okay. So then they say like, could all these great men like W.E.B. Du Bois, Langston
Oh,
Hughes,
great man.
Paul Robeson, yeah, really, right? Could they be taken in by the Soviets and their excellent propaganda machine? And of course, what answer do they arrive at? Sadly, yes, they could. To
Yeah.
the extent they had a good reason for being taken in, the extent of Soviet repression wasn't yet well known. Bullshit. That's just bullshit.
Or maybe they were the only guys talking about liberation.
Yeah, weird, right? They were shown a carefully curated version that showcased only the best elements. For the same reason, dignitaries visiting the U.S. do not see Rikers Island. Not where I'd go with that, but okay. Um, the Stalinists of the 20th century desperately wanted to believe in the promise of a new society, and they weren't given the facts they needed to see through the illusion. You know what's funny? You can find mention of this, like these alleged and in some cases actual abuses going far back as from contemporary writers. So the idea that the Stalinists were like a proto North Korea is laughable. Okay, and they say it's important. And then of course we go into the actual Now we go into the attack. Stalin was a worse than a flawed or corrupt communist. Rather, with the single exception of Hitler, he was the most lethal anti-communist of his time. So he was not the most lethal anti-communist of his time. This is a minor nitpick, but I would not argue that the Nazi regime and its myriad anti-communist members and the sympathetic Democratic and Republican senators in America who would then go on to be viciously anti-communists. Like, there's a lot of people in front of Stalin. Let's just acknowledge that, right?
It,
Okay.
it was nothing. It was nothing for fascist governments all over Europe to try to destroy anything even resembling communism that popped up anywhere for many years before that. I mean, like what? What do you
Yeah.
mean most successful anti-communist? Like there's a fucking all-time leaderboard for that shit. Like
They don't even let you have minor labor reforms.
No. Notably, they don't. They turn immediately violent. Look at Kent State. Look at Kent
There's a
State.
list of coups in Latin American countries that I could reference for a little bit.
Name more than 6.
Now you know they don't.
Okay.
Now you know they don't consider powerful
Bolivia,
people human beings.
Guatemala. Do attempteds count,
Yes.
or does it have to be successful?
No, it can be attempted.
All right, Bolivia, Guatemala, Cuba.
Cuba, 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 Cuba. I got to say this about 520 more times. Cuba. Yeah. So, in fact, the epitaph of virtually every prominent European socialist to die in the years 1928 to 1945 reads either murdered by Hitler or murdered by Stalin. Weirdly, this is a fun game they play because I actually don't disagree that Stalin may have been a little overzealous in icing the competition. I actually don't. It doesn't bother me all that much. Again, I don't live there. That country is gone. Stalin is long dead. All of these people would be long dead anyway, right? But um, every every is a bold fucking phrase. General Franco sends his regards. Mussolini, that fat chin freak, sends his regards. So I don't know if I didn't necessarily jump that far, right? And of course, they talk about how Stalin purged the party or whatever. We've heard that one before. And yeah, all right, fair enough. He did. All right.
Right thing. Should have got rid of them Trotskys.
Yeah, right. And
I'm
notably,
sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I wasn't supposed to say that, was I?
yeah, oh, they mentioned, of course, they go through the whole fucking laundry list because for some reason, like, we can never find a laundry list of capitalism's dead as a frame of reference for our understanding of the fucking material conditions of the world around us. We can never find these lists, but magically, out of a country where everything was fucking propaganda and everything was fucking lies, we have perfect information about, right? So this is always one of the suspect things. If it was so fucking gruesome and he was such a fucking master of eradicating history and undoing history and changing history and fucking Photoshop before there was Photoshop and just on and on and on, then how do we have such perfect fucking information? That's the question I always want to fucking know. Apparently, we did know a lot more about it, so we're being pretty fucking selective in our information. If I grant you these points, which again, I'm probably even predisposed to doing more so than any other pro Stalinist would be, uh, we're also talking about a fuck ton of rich people, aren't we? We're talking about eradicating a lot of members of the bourgeoisie, some of them not all that fucking revolutionary. So I don't know these people individually. I don't know what was in their hearts. Some of them were dickheads. That's just a base fact. Some of them were anti-revolutionary dickheads. Some of them were Nazi sympathizers. Some of them were actual traitors. So I don't know. I don't know what to tell you there. These things do end up happening, don't they? God knows it's not like we don't have political corruption in this country.
God knows. God knows we have. We don't have adventurism and opportunism and revisionism and all these things that need purged every day.
Yeah. Yeah, God knows we have never ever lied about our historical narrative, right? Tuskegee Airmen. MK Ultra. So it's not like we would know it. It's not like
COINTELPRO,
England. It's not like England.
Operation Baby Lift.
Yeah, it's not like England after the war did devote all of their military resources into essentially creating a spy agency to do just that. So that's just me. I don't know. Just pointing that out there. The Stalinist regime was the fucking single unique terror about it. Yet All these demonstrable examples. And you know what they're going to argue? Like, well, we're not talking about that. Yeah, it's weird we never talk about that. We're litigating a dead man from another country. We're forced to perpetually fucking litigate a dead man from another country instead of litigating our own fucking problems here and correcting all those. Seems like an attention drain. Though part of I'll let the secret. It is the Barbra Streisand effect. That's part of what Stalin's allure is. At the end of the day, it's the Barbra Streisand effect. The more you fucking talk about Stalin, the more people are going to think he's based. So then, of course, we go through a whole litany of these. Blah, 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 blah. The list goes on forever. It sure does. This is a fucking multi-sentence paragraph. Then, of course, we run to the Socialist Appeal, the newspaper, the only newspaper, weirdly enough, that they could find that would criticize Stalin. Because, as it turns out, not too many people wanted to criticize Stalin back in 1938 when we were fighting the fucking Nazis. So I'm sus on that paper. Then we talk about the effects of the show trial, the guilty, which, like, again, if you're dealing with Nazis and traitors and executing them causes other people to think twice about those decisions, that's good, actually. That's less murder you have to do to arrive at the goal of eradicating fascism. That's what you should want. The less we have to turn bloody, the better it is for everybody involved. What's the other alternative? Well, we just have to coexist with the fascists. Fuck that. They literally train lone wolf terrorists in this country, and we murder. How many do they murder daily? 4 to 10 people? In a year, 30-some thousand fucking people have to die to fucking coexist with fascism? That's a waste of time. If we murdered 30,000 fascists, the rest of them might fucking ditch fascism because if nothing else, you show that it has no fucking returns. There's no returns in this system. Continuing down that path causes you to die. You, the fascist. So that might deter people from fascism. So again, I'm not entirely deterred by that fact, personally. That is one way of dealing with it. When you break those terrorist cells up, if that theory is true, as purported by the right wing, as purported by, I don't know, fucking blowing up Hitler's regime with literal bombs, when you blow those cells up, they fucking fall apart. That means less people overall have to die, doesn't it? Because you deal with the problem. Fascism is not just acute, conveniently, like a different ideology. It is a poisonous fucking cancer on humanity.
Death.
You don't negotiate with cancer. I'm sorry. You just don't. You kill it. You get rid of it. Like American cops today, Stalin's secret police worked on a quota system, which officers were required to make a certain number of arrests per month. Doubtful. I don't know where you're pulling that from. That is not a fact that is referenced. Let's see here. I'm going to give him the chance. Conquest the Great Terror, page 312. Okay. Glad that link is just a loop. God. Give them their due. Sure, maybe they did have a quota system. I don't know. They bring up Beria, the NKVD head who was an actual serial killer and rapist, and notably was dealt with when Stalin died. So the Soviet system overall was willing to deal with the problem. In that regard, Stalin's at fault. There. You got me. That was bad that Stalin gave a person like that much power. That was a fuck up. One of the standard features of Stalin apologetics, past and present, is to quill over the precise number of the dead. Because you fucking force us to litigate it. Because you fucking goobers always force us to litigate the murders of the Soviets and the fucking Chinese. Never your own past. Never the past that you're an active participant in by engaging in these fucking rhetorics. Never have to deal with that if you can just keep fucking litigating the Stalin. You force us to do that. And it fucking mortifies you when we're willing to. Then you turn real fucking weird. And then when we turn it back to the fucking crimes of everybody fucking else, mysteriously, you assholes drop the subject.
The person that walked up shrieking hysterically about murders doesn't want to talk about it anymore.
Yeah, the minute it's inconvenient for them to point out that, oh yeah, we might be the baddies, or we might be culpable for more murders as a society. Suddenly, oh well, you don't need to talk about that. How can you people talk about that? Because you force us to. We are far more interested in talking policy, liberation, things that fucking matter, our own material conditions. But no, every fucking time, you assholes. And then, by the way, I'm not going to bother reading them. There's the scoreboard: 20 million, 40 million, 1 million, whatever, fucking numbers, just pile of numbers. The pile of number take. 3 million is a horror almost too vast to contemplate. I'm Jewish. I'm forced to contemplate 5 million plus every fucking day of my life. It's fine. You can do it. If you actually have some intellectual rigor, you can fucking contemplate it. Like, that's it. That's the goal. If you're black, you have to contemplate the fucking untold fucking human misery of slavery every goddamn day of your life because you live here. I don't even live in the country that did the fucking Holocaust, but I live in a fucking country that treated my people like shit during the Holocaust, during the same time period. Forced to contemplate it every goddamn day of my life. So when they go, oh, you didn't contemplate the fucking Stalinist murders. Yeah, I did. Some of them I don't care about. Deal with it. You have to cope with that. I am diametrically opposed to your opinion. People like me are diametrically in opposition to your opinion. We have contemplated it. We picked the one where there was less. Because you made us run the goddamn numbers, asshole. Okay, so then of course it's all Stalin murdered the fucking Soviet fucking magic, right? We get to that fucking bullshit. There are layers of irony to this. Blah blah blah. Trotsky himself had been instrumental in putting down the 1921 Kronstadt sailors' uprising. Oh yeah, they point out that Trotsky was also an asshole, but then they take a real sympathetic opinion of Trotsky. Motherfucker, they had a war to fight. All of them did. Sometimes you make shitty decisions in war. Sometimes you fuck up. I don't know what to tell you there. Sometimes not going to war is also a fucking terrible opinion. If had America intervened on the side of the Soviets earlier in World War II, things might have gone better for the Jews as a result of that decision. That was a huge fuck up. God, this is actually genuinely making me viscerally angry, by the way. I want you to know. I'm having trouble fucking containing my rage.
I've been upset about this article since the very beginning.
Not alone.
Since the beginning when they were like, "Oh, hey, you're just kids who don't understand anything about anything, being edgy."
Yeah.
Okay, dickhead.
Maybe you're just an ass. Did you contemplate that fact? No? Weird. Weird that your own asshole will never come under scrutiny. You're the correct leftist.
Maybe you should just read a book.
Yeah.
Maybe two.
Maybe one not printed by the
Some
CIA.
theory.
Or
Yeah, not one from PragerU.
Yeah. Not a PragerU book, asshat. Okay. Yeah, it's weird. It's weird that Stalinism didn't deliver on the ideal, yet everybody holds that ideal in regards to fucking fixing the fucking problem of liberation. Weird. We get
Almost
into
like you don't want liberation.
we're going to get into a part. The next part of this article gets into about revolutionary internationalism, which Stalin was famously not a fan of. And this is where Stalin made some tactically incorrect decisions, in my opinion. All right, Stalin was very picky and choosy about where he lent USSR aid. And the defense I will give of Comrade Stalin there is the USSR only had so many fucking resources. Resources are finite when you're competing in a market economy. The revolutionary movements, this is going to be hard for some people. So I hope Alex listens to this just to understand how viscerally angry I am. So that he understands. I'm going to help him. If you are operating a revolutionary movement in a capitalist country, either a banal political movement or a violent movement or a combination thereof, then you are subject to the market. Your resources come from the market. The market requires money. The Soviets are designing a society at this time that is leaning away from the dependency on wage. They don't wean off of it, they never get rid of it, but they try to mitigate that. As a consequence, and a political consequence of them just being communists, capitalist countries intentionally devalue their currency. So the Soviets don't have all the big pot of money like somebody like Great Britain did at the time. They lack that pot of money to pay for all this shit. So they did have to be a little picky and choosy about where they lent their aid. Did they always make the right call? In my argument, no. Again, Stalin made mistakes, but the Soviets with Stalin at the lead, in my opinion.
And to note, Stalin himself was also critical of his own actions later on in his life.
Yes. Notably, when he looked back, he said, I should have done things differently. He admits that he and his government fucked up. And notably, there were some other famous Marxists who did not heed to Stalin's advice and did fine. So they also recognized the comrade had made an improper decision. They'll point out that, Stalin advocated for an alliance with Chiang Kai-shek. That they said, continuing on, they should, instead of just, outright basically icing the Chinese nationalists, they should try to seek a peace arrangement. That was a tactical failure, which, conveniently enough, Mao, another person they derided in the article, ignored. So this idea that Stalin is above all reproach, that he is some immortal god in everybody's minds, I think is baseless. I think it's a fucking unfair smear.
What? You don't mean you mean Stalin isn't the most evil person in history, like YouTube says?
Yeah, weirdly enough, no, I don't agree with that. I also don't agree he was perfect. I think we use his imagery as an ideal for liberation, and the fact that there are real successes that could be had by aiming towards that goal in a proper sense, in a mature sense. But no, Po Buddy's nerfed, haha. Okay. So again, we get to that. Then we get to the weird. This is the one that I find the weirdest, right? This is one I openly disagree with, and we're getting to the other one where I do agree. I stopped cracking wise since it was a serious time. It's fine, chat. It's fine. It helps. It helps keep me grounded. I'd like to socially commune, whatever that's called. Fair. Fair. It's fair. So then we get into Stalin, the famous, terrible, monstrous homophobe. All right. We get into that. Which I want to point out, this is another one of those things where under Khrushchev, it did openly get worse. That's Khrushchev. This is after Stalin is dead. Pretty quickly. The 50s and 60s were a pretty homophobic time in the Soviet Union, directly at the hands of people like Brezhnev and fucking Khrushchev. Okay. There's a reason I state that. I'm not downplaying it. You find this across a lot of the socialist world. That really is wrong. In a genuine sense, that is not something socialists should have done. And that is something we can never do again. We can't ever, like, the minute somebody in the room entertains it, punch them. That's over. We're not going to do that ever again. We just can't. There's no strategic gain to it. People like Haas, when they go, oh, we got to hate them. No. You get out. You're done. Your turn is over. You don't get to talk no more. I'm sorry. Never until you come and like maybe that was a real bad idea. Until we get that out of your mouth, everything else you say can just, I don't know, scream it into the
I have
wall.
a question.
Sure.
How long did it take the U.S. to get on board with that?
Huh? How long did it? 2012 was it? And now
Sounds to me like they're cherry picking.
Yeah, it was 2012 for us, and notably, we're trying to get rid of it. The nation state, not us, but the nation state is trying to get rid of it now.
I mean,
It's trying
all
to
of
purge
this,
that.
it's just a personality attack. It's just a smear at this point. It's just a straight up straw man personality attack. Oh, what about their stance on trans or gay or was he anti-Semitic? Meanwhile, you're talking about them in a time with actual fucking Nazis.
Yeah. Yeah, we're trying to smear Stalin as a homophobe while in Nazi Germany, in Italy, in Franco's Spain, they are eradicating
In the
homosexuals.
U.S.
In the US, we're certainly trying to keep that underground and we have open lynching on those people.
What do they even think the book burnings is about? I swear,
Yeah,
man. It's just
it's kind of insane. Chat seems like depending on one person isn't a great idea. Yeah, as it turns out, socialism is social. It's why we literally have it in the name. But this idea that Stalin was uniquely homophobic in this reign of anti-gay terror, again, it's all after Stalin dies. So to put him in the fucking square on this is fucking amazing. Also notably, there are contemporary American writers who like in the 40s went through the Soviet Penal Code to try to figure out how different they were from us, how alien they were. Okay, and I can actually link to at least one of those coming from Yale of all places. And mysteriously, we just don't see reference to that about their penal. Even though we're picking through their entire fucking penal code, we just don't find any references to that. It's odd. It's almost like they weren't fucking there in 47. So what do they do? Even though this is supposed to have happened in 33, by 1947, what, it fucking disappeared? So I find this hard to believe. And this is the thing we're about to get to. We're very close to getting to something that I actually do agree with in criticizing the Soviets writ large, not just Comrade Stalin, but Soviet society. In fact, I'm linking that in fucking chat. That is going in chat right fucking now. You can read through it like I did.
So while you're doing that, let's go ahead and dispel a couple other things I got on my list here.
Sure.
The accusation of cruelty and terror. Excuse me, compared to who? The compared to the whites? You're okay, 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 okay.
um,
And then the last one is the non-aggression pact, which he tried to make a pact with the West over and over and over again, and they was not having it. So then he had to say, "Hey, Hitler, you gotta take a break."
yeah. Yeah, it's weird. It's almost like when England was running the show. England was so virulently anti-communist that Churchill favored Hitler over Stalin, so that they couldn't reach an agreement, and he did a last-ditch political effort to try to build up a war machine capable of tackling the German problem. It's almost like that's the case.
Almost,
Almost.
almost.
Thank fuck it was just that Hitler and Stalin were the bestest of pals. Now, this is another one of those where Stalin and the Soviets writ large actually do eat shit. And there is a material reason they did what they did. So it is tempered to some degree, but they still shouldn't have gone as far as they have. All right? That is the critique of the Soviet woman and the status of the Soviet woman. In post-war Soviet society, they turned hard towards raising the birth rate. And they, on the one hand, handed out generous government subsidies to make sure that people were incentivized towards forming a family and towards having children to replenish Soviet numbers. Across the Soviet Union, this was a mandated action, not just in Russia, but in Soviet world, right? The non-American world. But the culture they generated as a result, where the Soviet woman's purpose was to be a mother and to replenish the fatherland and all this shit, they went too far with that. That was not the correct thing to do. What they ought to have done is put that on the table and allow people to arrive at that decision as they were comfortable in their own material situations. That was the proper materialist response, in my opinion. It was not proper for the Soviets to place the role of women into a reproductive only role. That really did happen. That was wrong. That was at Stalin's Stalin was at the top. He bears the guilt of that decision making. It is equivalent to the Japanese internment. FDR didn't actually capture Japanese people and put them in camps, but he is directly responsible for the decision to put them in camps. Likewise, Stalin is directly responsible for the decision to manufacture a culture that reduces the status of women in society. That is anti-socialist, and that is wrong. And there's not really getting. This is one of those things I'm also not willing to argue about. Right? That is not how we should view our fellow persons. And they detail it in fine detail. And yes, that part is that is the kernel of truth of which the rest of this bullshit is built around. Okay, then we get into art and all that shit. But like, let's face it, right? Going right into the Cold War, art changed. Art changed everywhere. It changed fucking everywhere. There was a goddamn war on. There was a world war that lasted for 50 fucking years that we're supposed to pretend didn't happen. Oh, here we go. Oh, this one's cool. So, Stalin doesn't get credit for World War II. That's fair. A whole nation state fights that. Counterpoint, he was the executive. And we do tend to attribute the victories of those wars to the executive.
And complete fabrications.
Yeah, supposed Marxists should know better. That's fucking rich. That's fucking rich. Then we have an ad for somebody in the lamest fucking suit I have ever seen in my life.
Is it better than the Jordan Peterson dual heaven hell suit?
Okay, second lamest. We're getting into, of course, the purges ruined the Soviet war effort, which is weird because they ended up winning. So I don't know. That's a push. Maybe they could have won faster. We're dabbling into more hypothetical history again.
And if you're being eroded from the inside, I don't see how you're going to win anything.
Yeah, really. If everybody has their daggers out in a circle, somebody's going to win that fight. Just want to point that out. And you can say this is a failing of Lenin that he didn't set up a better solution for how to transfer power. And you can also say that Lenin essentially de facto believed he was going to live a lot longer than he was going to, and he was ignoring his own health. Where have we seen that behavior before, right? So that's a failing of Lenin, so much that if you're going to leave a power vacuum where everybody is literally duking it out with force, you're going to have the most forceful win. And Stalin is nothing if not a forceful man. Motherfucker knew how to tussle. One arm, doesn't matter. He could one arm beat any motherfucker in a fight.
Definitely B45's tapioca ass.
Certainly today's Nazis aren't worried about Stalinism as a potential threat, just the opposite, in fact. In Stalin, the enduring legacy, Kerry Bolton, the New Zealand white supremacist and frequent contributor to the books you can't read on the bus subgenre, whose other works include The Holocaust Myth and Mel Gibson and the Pharisees, praises Stalin for reversing the Bolshevik Marxist psychosis that would have reduced Russia to chaos and destroyed the very soul of the Russian people, and hails Stalin as a major force for tradition and conservatism in the world against globalization. Minus the psychosis bit, he's exactly right. It's weird then that he helped manufacture China. It's weird that he helped manufacture the revolutions that he did manufacture. It's weird that he was so glummed up in anti-globalization that he literally fought a world war and negotiated with people who were in diametric opposition with him, and that he actually sought out other leaders who were sympathetic, and that he created propaganda within the Soviet Union about how great fucking America was when he was, when he was in charge prior to Truman. It's all weird. It's weird that he's such a great anti-globalist. It's weird. Or it could be, perhaps, that Kerry Bolton has the same brain disease that all these weird racists have, where they just take socialist symbolism and modify it their own nefarious ends. Could be that. I don't know. What the fuck does Dan Cohen know anyway? What the fuck do the Sons of Trier know? What do we really know? Jesus Christ, this keeps going on.
It is long.
It is so fucking long. Jesus, I thought I would have been done by now. I'm barely halfway done. And I'm going to end it here. I am honestly going to end it here.
Somebody crack a joke.
This guy's a good writer. These letters sound like the whitest gatekeeper Marxist club. Yeah, it is. Actually, funny enough, chat, these people hate Marx. The Current Affairs is not a fan of Marx. Their editor has gone on record saying the class doesn't matter or the class is subordinate to race and other forms of identity.
Wow.
Yeah,
Big surprise there.
that's Nathan J. Robinson's real big fucking contribution to the whole lot is that Marx was wrong, which is like really funny because if you understand bigotry only as slurs hurled at somebody, that interpretation is 1000% correct. If you understand that words alone can't hurt you, but there are systemic actions that can be taken to regulate a person to subhuman status, and then if you're wealthy enough, you can overcome that obstacle. And you can literally engage in the same dehumanizing behavior against people in your own shared identity because you share a class identity and that access to wealth and power actually supersedes that, then Marx is 110 fucking percent correct and Nathan J. Robinson is not really all that talented in the field of socialism as he claims to be, or he's willing to ignore the injustices, or worse, he's willing to ignore the injustices of capitalism to make smears against the more aggressive leftists.
If you're not a
So
Marxist, are you even socialist? Like, what the fuck?
yeah. Oh, there are plenty. They're just, I mean, who won?
At this point, he might as well just say he's a pet sock.
You're closing in on it. If you find identity, and if you find a national identity and all that shit to be superior to class identity, uh, I mean, you're not a Pat Sock, but like you're hanging out in the same fucking set of delusions.
They're in the dugout. They're in the pat sock dugout.
You know, schizophrenia takes many forms, my friend. Schizophrenia takes many forms. It's a sick mind that jumps to that. So, like, these are people who advocate for a socialism as portended by the very early Bolsheviks and later adopted in Western Europe to great success in achieving a kind of socialism. But it is a socialism that reconciles itself against Republican democracy and, most importantly, capitalism. So it is a tepid socialism that, on paper, hems away at the worst abuses of capitalism as a justification for continuing capitalism. But as you can see in Western Europe, with that is insufficient for handling the problems that face humanity, which are literally in order of scope climate change, which was caused by capitalism, and then fascism, which is a self eradication to do the job if climate change can't kill us all. Like, I personally agree that climate change is more of an existential threat, right? Because it does affect the whole world simultaneously, and there's no hiding from it. Whereas in theory, geography can protect you from fascism. However, the second most deadly thing is the group of human beings who are actively engaged in a death cult looking to purge humanity from the face of the fucking earth. That's the second thing. That's literally the premise to like every one of our stories. Look at this fucking cult trying to kill other people. So
Yeah.
and mind you, those social democrats of Europe who operate in a hybrid system of more socialism and capitalism are readily eager to turn on Venezuela, who by what metrics they use to measure socialism are less socialist than France. All over the place. I'm sure there's context and history about Marx. I mean, proximity to power, I heard it called. I need a little more context for that comment, Chad. I'm going to be honest. I don't want to disregard it because I think I know where you're going, but I also don't want to put words in your mouth. But yeah, as far as you see in Europe, look how quickly they are receding into fascism. Disturbingly easy to push them into fascism. Disturbingly easy. And
Not
it's
even a push, really. Just a blow of the wind.
one stubbed toe, and suddenly they're like, we got to eradicate the Jews again. I guess in Germany's case now it's the Turks, right? It was the Jews, and now it's the Turks they got to get rid of. and the communists, and the homosexuals, and the trans people, and the whole fucking laundry list of things fascism hates. Unilaterally. All of it's back. Germany has a real problem with that right now. Unless you're one of the Germans who likes it, then you're like, this is great for me, right? But fuck those ones. You see it in Italy. You see it in fucking Spain. You see it in. It takes very little. You turn over a stone, there it is. Look at England. Look at what England's descending into. Turf fucking island. And they've always, like, we are only acknowledging them now because they've attacked trans people, and that is the soup du jour of liberal capitalism at the moment. But the reality of it is they were always against Middle Eastern immigrants. They were always against their black population. They were always against their poor working class members. They've simply added homosexuals and they've added transgender people to the list of people they hate. England was always on the precipice of it because literally their fucking ideal leader, the one they still blow to this day for some stupid reason, Churchill, was very sympathetic to those ideas. So their leading class is hyper sympathetic to the ideals of Adolf Hitler and of fascism writ large. So England's just fucked. England's as fucked as America. The only thing we did is we reverse colonized it. That's the difference. We're the colonial master now. England is an offshoot of our fucking bigotry. That's the change in World War II. But in the same monstrous state. And they've always been. There's no pretending that England was somehow this enlightened fucking island of fucking perfection. That's a fucking joke. It's just another lie portended by fucking Churchillites and the fucking like. And even look at fucking Macron over there. Macron over there is a hardcore neoliberal, inches away from a fascist. And all he's trying to do is rip up civil rights, which will literally cause the working class anxieties that will produce more fascism.
He didn't realize they were organized.
Thank fuck the French are organized. Thank fuck the French are willing to fight back. And then notably, the French are fighting back against Macron, a neoliberal. So what are those protesters being labeled as? Fascists. By labeling them as fascists for pushing back against neoliberalism, you will produce more fascists because they will think those ideas aren't that bad. You will create the mental space necessary to fucking fill that in with more fascism. When those are just workers fighting for the fucking slightly better social welfare fucking gains that France has had. And the mirror on this continent, we are more like Germany, and Canada is more like France. Yeah, although Canada is still closer to America because of the proximity, so they're more behaving like us. They have a lot more open fascists operating. That truckers thing, I'm going to take the stand. Those truckers, those were fascists. Fuck them. Because notably, it wasn't the poor truckers that went out. It was all the rich ones who could afford to take off work. The poor ones kept on trucking.
Agreed.
So yeah, it's bad. I'm sorry. That's it. Fuck Nathan. Fuck Nathan J. Robinson. Fuck Alex Skopik. Fuck this tepid, weak ass socialism. Fuck all these bastards. But with all that said, it's midnight here. We love you. Don't die.
Definitely don't do that.
Next week we'll try to have a little more fun with it.
It was a good cast though.
That was fun.
Very important thing said. Yeah.
Well, you five. It's because the five of us are pretty great. Not great, man, great, but we're pretty great. We love you.
Love you, America.
Don't die.
Good night.